There was a story a while ago that I don't know if it's true or not, but I vaguely remember the story about a kid who had a Pop-Tart, and he bit his Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun and started going pew-pew at, other students, and then he got in trouble because it's a zero-tolerance policy. You're not allowed to do that. Even a toy gun is zero tolerance. Here's a story from this site. It's called dailyesports.gg. I don't know if this is it's a blog I stumbled across on Reddit. I don't know how legitimate this news site is. Take it for what it is. It says, student's drawing of Smash Bros. Logo gets mistaken as a shooting threat because the Smash Brothers logo looks like Crosshairs. So apparently they're claiming, they're saying this is a photo from a county sheriff's incident report where someone said December 7th, time to smash. I guess that's what they're trying to say. And there's the symbol. And I mean, look, this, based on what we've seen in this world and how people react to this kind of things, I'd have to say, I kind of believe this really happened. But again, I'm not familiar with the site. Maybe you are. It's by Tara Blair. Tara, if I end up seeing this, I'm not, I'm not familiar with your outlet. The story says, it seems there are some teens in schools who don't recognize Super Smash Bros. Logo. At one high school in Sabina, Ohio, students became alarmed after one student wrote on the whiteboard, December 7th, time to Smash Brothers logo, as seen below. Many students thought it was a threat of a school shooting. At first, it was reported to the school who deemed there was something amiss. Then, of course, other students took to online and began spreading serious rumors that someone was going to start shooting up the school that Friday. It seems no one put two and two together that the date happened to be the release of Smash Brothers Ultimate, which I've played. And I think it's fantastic, by the way. Smash Bros. Is good fun. And that's what they, that's what they show. The student meant no harm. So this was tweeted by somebody. It says, the logo appeared 2 days in a row, prompting 4 fellow female classmates to report it and take pictures of it. The school's principal, Carrie Matheny, spoke to the male student who drew it on the board. It was also stated to BuzzFeed News via email from Eric McGee, the school superintendent, that the logo appeared on November 29th and 30th. So I guess BuzzFeed has picked this up. They have a source. What is this? Oh, okay. It's BuzzFeed. Hey, there we go. So it looks like the story's legit. BuzzFeed has it. They say a high schooler drew a Super Smash Bros. Logo on a whiteboard, then authorities investigated it. The statement on the board was merely a statement of anticipation for the release of this new video game. How completely absurd. So we've went through that part already. They say, Eric McGee told the high school's resource officer, David Boris, about an email he received that some student was threatening to shoot the school. In turn, the school resource officer interviewed the student who drew the Smash Brothers logo, who, according to the incident report, said he knows everyone thinks he is weird, but he would never hurt anyone. He's a Smash Bros. Player. That's it. That's about it, okay? And so they posted this, this is a tweet someone says, this is a real document sent out to everyone that attends my school. And it says, rumors began to spread and morph into bigger and bigger issues. Look, the point of this is I want to bring up something important about how terrifying and sensitive we're becoming. The video I made before this is about the soy punk dystopia we're headed towards, where everyone's offended by everything. Everything has to be rainbow colors, and if something is offensive, get rid of it. This is where someone has mistaken a logo for the Smash Brothers video game with apparently crosshairs, I guess, to imply that someone is going to commit an act of serious harm against individuals. And people are so terrified that there's actually two problems here, right? We always want to make sure we're staying in the middle, away from the extremes. But it seems like everything is being pushed to the extremes. For one, you have stories, like I mentioned this the other day, where there was, I can't remember where I read the story, but there was a bank robbery. And the security guard just watched as armed masked men ran in and did nothing. And when later was asked about it, he said, I just couldn't believe it was happening. That's extremely bad behavior. Look, something's happening, you need to be alert, and you need to be sure of yourself and not just do nothing. The other extreme is somebody walks in with a weird-looking face or an umbrella, and you panic and think it's something crazy and beat them up. Or in this instance, here's an extreme. A student drew something on a whiteboard, and everyone starts panicking. Now, about a year or so ago, I purchased an Overwatch mug, okay? If you're not familiar with Overwatch, it's a video game, it's a team shoot-'em-up game, it is good fun. I don't know if they're doing as well as they used to. I think some people have been complaining about it. But it's a video game, okay? It's an esport. It's a pretty big esport. They have Overwatch League. It's great fun. Unfortunately, their logo is almost the same as Generation Identity. So Mike Stutchberry, he tweeted, I actually just Googled it. I didn't look up Mike Stutchberry's tweets. I've shown some of his tweets before. But he says, for a start, these Generation Identity melts can't even pick a logo without possibly infringing copyright, Sick'em Blizzard Entertainment. Well, I don't believe, this is from last year actually. I don't believe Blizzard will do anything, period, because what could they do? But this is Generation Identity's logo, and this is the Overwatch logo. So I bought a mug. Okay, this is a funny story. And I had it behind me. Look, I got a bunch of stuff behind me, right? Over here, which you can't see too well, I've got a bunch of, you can see a magic card right there, I think. Yeah, there's magic cards right there. And I've got some books and stuff, and I've got like the Scary Stories collection. I got a bunch of nerdy stuff. I got One Punch Man. One Punch Man is right, there he is. That's Saitama. Saitama, is that a name? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so I had a mug behind me. And people took screenshots of this while I was talking, and circled the Overwatch logo, and then started circulating around claiming that I was secretly trying to dog whistle to Generation Identity, which is absolutely ridiculous because I think I've met the guy from Generation, Martin Zellner. I think I've met him like one time, and it was at a Berkeley event. It's like, it's absolutely insane, absolutely ridiculous. But I have to say, Overwatch, I don't know who made their logo first. I have to admit, it's not the most, like, I wouldn't call it particularly unique for either of them. And the Overwatch apparently is supposed to be like an O and a W. But here's what ends up happening. During Overwatch League, this video game event, there were people waving signs with Pepe on it. And as many of you know, Pepe is the alt-right frog, as they call it. So you have the Overwatch logo, you have it looking very much like Generation Identity, and then you have gamers engaging in meme culture, and now people are pointing the finger at them and saying, this is proof, gamers are alt-right and all this stuff. So, I don't know. I think when you look at a story like this, I don't know exactly what they had in, we'll read what they finished with. That the school's superintendent sent out an email to students and parents saying there was no need for alarm, there was no threat. No, it's just people, more zero-tolerance psychosis, people panicking over nothing. And so again, like the idea of the extremes is, if you do nothing, something bad happens, potentially. But sometimes you overreact, so like, what are we supposed to do? And it seems like being rational is this like sharp point where you struggle to balance, to stand on, and you either fall to the extreme left or fall to the extreme right. And I don't mean like left and right politically, I mean more so, do you say nothing about this if you don't know what it is? Like, was it wrong for these four women, these four girls at the school, to go and alert the school that they saw this? Was it wrong? And that's a tough question, because we see in like New York subways all the if you see something, say something. But for the most part, the stories we hear about backpacks being like blown up in the middle of nowhere and they had books in them. But then again, in New York, there literally was a bombing, I think, just 2 years ago. So that's ultimately the challenge of, do you overreact or is it even overreacting? And I'll take this opportunity to talk about another important thing that maybe could help you out in your life. My dad was a firefighter for a long time, and he told me something about, I'm probably getting it wrong, but something about how if a bunch of firefighters are standing on a rooftop and they all look at each other, like they'll hear a noise, and then they'll all look at each other like, do we move? And then because no one does anything, no, the roof collapses. Like if no one moves, then no one else moves, and the roof collapses, they all die. There was this experiment that I was watching, a thing, it was like a Showtime or something, where they put a person in a room and they were like, hey, this is for a scientific study. We want you to just fill out this questionnaire. While they're filling out the questionnaire, they start blowing smoke under the door. When the person was in the room by themselves, they would see the smoke and they would get up and they would go to the door to feel it like you're supposed to do, and then they would yell like, hey, there's smoke, smoke, and then try and get help. When they put 3 people in the room, they would put 3 people in the room, have them do a questionnaire. All of these people, when the smoke would billow through the door, they would look at the smoke, look at the other person, and be like, if nobody else is doing anything, then clearly it must not be that big of a deal. So I guess the lesson is, you should probably do something if you're not sure, and you should never look to someone else to make sure, like, if they're doing something, is it the right thing to do? Should I take action if no one else is taking action? The answer is probably yeah, right? I was in down in Chicago once, and there was this smoke coming from a building, and everyone starts running to it to watch, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do what they do, I'm gonna move, right? Another incident, I was in Venezuela, and it was during the student protest in like 2014, and hundreds of people are running and screaming, and the people I'm working with for Vice are like, what, should we do anything? And I'm like, are you joking? Run this way. Don't run with them, because they're clearly running from something. Run away from them. And that's exactly what we did. I don't know, whatever. I'm going off on a tangent here. But I think it's fair to say that, for one, this is a ridiculous story. I'm not surprised it happened, though, because you gotta admit, let's be real. This does look, maybe, like, if you don't know what it is, it looks weird, you're not gonna know what it is, and yeah, maybe. But we're also becoming overly sensitive and terrified of everything. And that's the challenge. Violence is down, acts of terror are down, across the board, you know, lethal crime, all that, it's all down, down, down. Yet still, people are more and more terrified every day, and then, look, it's just like, wait, I don't know. I don't know how that ties into it. I just thought it was funny to point out how game logos are becoming this threat of, you know, this threat to everybody, but whatever. I've got one more story coming up in just a few minutes, so stick around.